The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Zethkar of the Hegemony Coalition finished his report. The crystalline being's voice had carried an unmistakable note of satisfaction as he described the minor disciplinary action taken against the human settlement on Kepler 442b. The human colonists were becoming too comfortable, Zethkar continued, his translucent form shimmering with arrogance. We simply reminded them of their place in the galactic hierarchy. A few of their young were relocated for proper education in hegemony facilities. Nothing more. The council representatives sat in various states of unease. Humans had only joined the galactic community 50 Earth years ago, and their integration had been complicated. They were a relatively new species, technologically inferior to most council members, yet something about them unsettled even the most ancient civilizations. Councillor Vexani of the Altarian Confederacy leaned forward, her forearms gesturing nervously. Ambassador Zethkar, when you say young ones were relocated, could you be more specific? 17 juvenile humans, ages ranging from 6 to 14 in their primitive years, Zethkar replied dismissively. They were orphans anyway. No parents to claim them. We've done them a service. The temperature in the chamber seemed to drop several degrees. High Arbiter. Quilleth, a being so ancient that stellar cartographers used his birth as a reference point for dating star systems, slowly rose from his floating meditation sphere. His voice, when it came, carried the weight of millennia. You took their children. Orphaned offspring of a primitive species, Zethkar corrected, clearly missing the shift in atmosphere. Really, the efficiency of our action should be commended. We've eliminated a potential burden on their society while providing these young ones with proper silence. The word didn't come from Kuleth. It erupted from Ambassador Sarah Chen, the human representative, who had been sitting quietly in the corner designated for junior species. She stood slowly, and every being in the chamber felt something primal stir in their ancient instincts, the recognition of a predator revealing itself. You took our children, Sarah said, her voice deadly calm. Orphans, the most vulnerable of our kind. Zethkar's crystalline structure flickered with annoyance. Your emotional attachment to offspring is well documented but irrelevant. These juveniles will receive superior education and… Where are they? The question hung in the air like a blade. Sarah's brown eyes had gone completely flat, devoid of any warmth or humanity. Several council members shifted uncomfortably, their evolutionary instincts screaming warnings they didn't understand. Safe in hegemony educational facilities, Zethkar replied, though something in his tone suggested he was beginning to realize his mistake. They will be returned when their education is complete. Councillor Vexani's voice was barely a whisper. Oh, Zethkar, what have you done? The Altarian had spent decades studying human psychological profiles. She knew what others had missed in their analysis. Humans didn't just care for their own genetic offspring. They had a category they called children that encompassed any young of their species, and orphans held a special place in human psychology. Taking them wasn't just an act of aggression. It was a violation of something sacred. Sarah's hand moved to her communication device. This is Ambassador Chen to Sol Command, Priority Alpha, immediate response required. Ambassador Chen. Hi. Arbiter Quilleth's voice carried a note of warning. Surely we can resolve this through diplomatic channels. You don't understand, Sarah said, not taking her eyes off Zethkar. None of you understand what he's done. The chamber's central holographic display activated, showing the Sol system. In real time, the assembled beings watched as the human home system erupted into activity. Ships began moving. Not just military vessels, but civilian craft, merchant vessels, even ancient colony ships thought to be decommissioned. Impossible, whispered Councillor Thane of the Rigel Systems. Their entire fleet is mobilizing. Not just the fleet, Sarah said quietly. Every human within 50 light years. Every colony. Every outpost, every mining station. Her voice grew colder with each word. You see, Ambassador Zethkar, you've made a fundamental error in your understanding of our species. The display zoomed out, showing human territories across the galaxy. Red dots appeared, thousands of them, as human ships and stations began coordinating movements. We have a saying, it takes a village to raise a child, but there's another saying you should have learned before you acted. Sarah's smile was absolutely terrifying. Touch one of our children, and you face all of us. Zethkar's crystalline form began to dim. This is madness. They cannot possibly. 23 billion humans, Ambassador. Not just soldiers, every human capable of holding a weapon. Every mother, every father, every sibling, every friend. Sarah's communication device chimed and she glanced at it briefly. Oh, and the 12 other species that have adoption treaties with us. Apparently, they consider those children family too now. The display updated again. The Centauri Alliance, the Free Worlds Federation, even the notoriously neutral Andorian Trade Union, all showing fleet movements toward hegemony space. High Arbiter. Quilleth's ancient voice trembled. In 14 billion years of galactic civilization, I have never seen anything like this. Because you've never seen anyone stupid enough to take human children, Counselor Vexani said, her voice filled with horror and awe. They're not just angry, Quilleth. They've gone into what they call protective mode. Every human in the galaxy now sees those 17 orphans as their own kids. Sarah received another message and looked up with that same terrible smile. 3 hours ago, you had 17 human children in your custody. My species would like them back, unharmed, immediately. And if we refuse? Zethkar asked, though his voice had lost all its earlier arrogance. Then you'll discover why, in 50 years of galactic membership, no species has ever declared war on humanity. Sarah's expression softened just enough to become truly frightening. Because we don't just fight wars, Ambassador. We fight for our children, and when we do that, we don't stop until everyone responsible is gone. The communication device in her hand chimed again. Sarah glanced at it and nodded. Oh, and Ambassador, you have 2 hours. After that, my species stops asking nicely. As if summoned by her words, the chamber's long-range sensors detected the first wave of human ships dropping out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. They had come for their children, and the galaxy would never be the same.